Forbes India and CNBC-TV18 present Exotel, EngageX.
We now move into our next fireside conversation at EngageX 2026, Trust, Transformation, and the Future of Banking. Banking today also is undergoing one of the most significant transformation in its history. In this rapidly changing landscape, the future of banking will also be shaped not just by digital capability, but by the ability to create experiences that are seamless, resilient, and deeply trusted by millions of customers every single day in every single transaction. Now, to take this conversation forward, I'd like to invite CNBC-TV18's Ritu Singh on stage, and joining her for this chat is Rama Mohan Rao Amara, Managing Director, Retail, Business and Operations, SBI. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause.
Thanks, Mugdha. Thank you all very much. I know we're nearing the end of the day, and that's why we've kept what I'm hoping is some of the most interesting discussions for the last debate. And, you need no introduction at all, Mr. Rao. I mean, the Managing Director at State Bank of India. I mean, if there's any institution in India that probably touches every Indian's life every day as closely as you do, it is State Bank of India. So, what better person to have this conversation with about trust, about transformation and the future of banking? I'll start with transformation, Mr. Rao, because I know you joined SBI in 1988. That means he's seen the institution through the economic reforms. Through
Indirectly, you are revealing my age as well.
It's the collective wisdom you bring. I mean, demonetization, the economic reforms, the internet revolution, the pandemic, and now these, geopolitical issues. So, in your eyes, how has the institution transformed in some of the ways that you think have been the most defining? And what is the one thing you think did not change that perhaps should have?
Yeah. So, I think she already revealed we joined in 1988. I joined in 1988. The first thing as part of the training we are taught about is the significance of our symbol. I think all of you are aware of SBI emblem key. It's a blue circle with a white key. So two aspects are explained in that. One is despite the bank being very large and whatever scale at which it operates, still the common man is the focal point. That is the point it conveys very clearly. And the shape of it itself, it indicates a keyhole with a locked vault kind of thing. That means if you keep the funds or deposits with the SBI, it denotes financial safety. So these are the things. This is the first one because you started with the word trust. There is no doubt in saying the emblem itself actually represents the trust. And in all our actions, in my journey or in the journey of the people who joined the bank, we carry this responsibility actually. If you're talking about a transformation, then obviously last 3.5 decades from a manual ledger-based system to a typical a kind of back office kind of systems to core banking systems in early 2000s, then introduction of various delivery channels like ATMs, mobile banking, etc. And then, of course, extensive use of AI nowadays. I think the landscape has changed very much. But what has not changed is our approach to customer centricity. Whether any product design or a process design or any delivery channel we introduce, customer centricity is the key. In all our internal process approvals also, there is always a seat for somebody like a customer experience officer. So who will actually step into the shoes of a customer, who will look at the product, who will look at the disclosures, what we make in terms of whether we are revealing enough information, comprehensive information, whether they understand or not. So I think one takeaway is customer centricity continues to be our focal point. While anything superficially can change, technology can change, the structures can change, customer centricity will remain.
The second part of that question, sir, was what do you wish had changed that did not?
I think, of course, a bit of more agility for regulated entities because all said and done, unlike other organizations, banking industry is definitely regulated for a right reason because we are the custodians of public money, etc. But what sometimes I feel like has to change is the agility. That means complying with all the things, but still getting the speed, executing, etc. Definitely, it's not to say like we are not there, but it requires a lot of effort in terms of coordinating and ensuring even at the highest level. That is what.
That's a very candid admission, I must say, sir. But let's get to the trust part of it, because one would almost assume the country's largest bank, a government-backed bank, a 200-year-old bank, it's almost as if the idea of trust is just handed to you just by virtue of being the institution you are. But would you say a large part of it also has to do on the kind of interface your 2.5 lakh employees have across your 23,000 branches in India on a day-to-day basis? So, does the trust lie with the institution, or does the trust lie with the people?
I think with both. As I said, the institution itself is a symbol of trust. And for the people who are working in the institution, there is an additional responsibility to ensure that whatever we do it in a transparent way, keeping the customer interest in mind. I quote the same example, like any product design, etc. I think it's not easy to get the approval in the bank if it doesn't make sense from a customer lens. So that is the importance that is given. So in our execution, planning, everything, the trust aspect is embedded in everything what we do at the bank.
All right, that's a fair point. But, when we talk about transformation, and technology is very much at the heart of what banks are trying to do, what you at SBI are also doing with YONO, which I'll get to in just a bit. But, how challenging is it to adapt to these technologies when you're running a bank as large as this? Every third Indian is an account holder here. It's not like one day you can say, okay, I'm going to stop operations for a couple of days while I get the back end in order. It's almost like saying I'll stop the flight mid-air to just fix the engine and then we'll continue flying. You can't do that. There are pensioners relying on you every day. There are so many salary people. So, how challenging is the task of bringing in technology in an institution as large as State Bank of India?
So I will give perhaps one example. I don't know how many of the people in the audience know there is a concept called non-banking day on 1st of April. I'm still talking about 20 years back, 25 years back, or even 15 years back, when we never had a 24/7 delivery channels. We used to have a one-day clear break in terms of closing down the branches, for consolidating the accounts, results, etc. That means no transactions can be done because you don't even have a delivery channel. Or even if you have automated channels like ATM, etc., ATMs are still possible to continue with the transactions, but a channel like mobile banking, etc., which has a direct connectivity with the CBS, that you can take it for granted that it won't work at least for a few hours. But now with the exponential increase in the volume, there is no such thing as non-banking day or anything. Any service, particularly the digital channel, has to be available 24/7. That itself was a big change, what we felt during the last few years. So that was only to tell you, whatever change we do, or whatever comprehensive change we do in the IT architecture, or anything we do, or introducing a new solution, we don't have the luxury of stopping everything, not making the services available for a few hours, and then making and introducing the change. We don't have that luxury.
But, rather, let me put it this way. Does your size itself make innovation a lot harder? Because, some fintech app doesn't work one day, some, private bank app doesn't work one day. It's a little tweet here and there. A few people will grumble online, and then we move on. If you hear of State Bank of India having a problem, it's a national tragedy. So, does it come with a bit of a challenge there? The scale itself, when it comes to innovating?
I think the expectation from us, from our team, from the top management also, is size cannot be the excuse. So that is a case with even external stakeholders like a customer also. With size, your expertise also has to be of that magnitude. That means it's an additional responsibility to ensure that a planning is perfect. We need to have a plan B, plan C also, if we're rolling out a new solution or a new app, etc. So we hardly have that luxury of making a serious mistake, actually, when we are rolling out any new technologies.
Let me also address this one point that I'm pretty sure most of us, when we think of public sector banks, I hope I don't do, but a lot of us, when we think of public sector banks, we think of these old legacy institutions that are still very much physical. You have to go to a branch to get anything done. But at State Bank of India, for instance, tell us about what the kind of work you've been doing on YONO. YONO 2.0 is expected, that is SBI's digital bank. And for the common man, how does the touch and feel become different? I mean, is it as competitive as, say, the newest bank on the street, the newest fintech, or will that legacy weight still hold you back a little bit? How does the customer experience change in YONO 2.0, and what is the kind of AI you're using to sort of make that experience uniform for everyone from a farmer maybe in Northeast India to an executive sitting here in Nariman Point?
So I think before I plunge into YONO, etc., let me touch upon the broad spectrum. The way you said, like 530 million customers, but something like 18 crore FI customers.
530 million customers, ladies and gentlemen. That's more than the population of United States and perhaps many, many other countries. So that, when we're talking about the scale of change, that is a very important context to keep in mind.
It's not to just like that reveal the number, just want to tell you the broad spectrum, both in numbers as well as a variety what we deal in. 18 crores of FI customers who demand a very high-touch banking in terms of having a physical branch. I mean, FI customers means like they are spread nook and corner, and you need to have either a physical branch or you can operate through a BC or CSP. Then you have more than 2 crore CSP customers. That is a corporate salary package customers who demand a bouquet of products but premier banking services. And you have a Gen Z customers who, I mean, below 35 years kind of category. We have almost 13 crore kind of customers in our 53 crores overall customer base who demand for them everything is the mobile centric. And then you have a ultra HNI customers, for them which is a personalized service, very professional relationship managers have to be there. So our task is cut out that way in terms of a very, very broad spectrum. And that's the reason we always believe in phygital. We can't simply bank on one channel. We need very robust professional bankers at the branches. We need very good outsourced people like a BC CSP. But at the same time, we need a very robust digital channel like YONO. So to your particular question on YONO 2, what is in store? I think we have actually ensured some parity when we rolled out YONO 2, plus we added some features. But what we want to introduce more is the hyper-personalization. So we want to leverage, build the customer profiles, may not be at a 36,000 feet level, maybe at a N:10 level or N:100 level. We want to understand them more clearly and make offers at a right time that are most relevant for them. So this is the task on hand, which we are intent to roll out.
Sorry to divert a little bit, but I'm just a little curious since you brought up the Gen Z. Is that a growing customer base? How significant and how fast growing a base is it for an institution like State Bank of India? I'm not going to be asking Vaidyanathan than that, because at IDFC or private bank, it's a very different game. But for State Bank of India, for you, Mr. Rao, how large a base is the Gen Z?
So I think on a daily basis, on an average, we open around 65,000 savings accounts, out of which 25 to 30% is from Gen Z. So either through complete digital journeys or through assisted digital journey, we cater to almost 30% through Gen Z. So it's a large number.
For anyone who thinks SBI a legacy banking large public institution, 35% of accounts coming from Gen Z is something to write home about. But our producers are telling us we're running out of time. So let me quickly ask you, sir. As banking becomes more and more digital, tech heavy, customer experiences need to be, you need to do a lot of work on that. What is your bigger worry? Is it moving too slowly, that technology is moving ahead, or is it moving too fast before fully understanding the repercussions of the changes that are happening around? What is a bigger concern for banks today?
No, I think we don't have the luxury of moving slowly. Otherwise, we'll become irrelevant, and the implications are anyway there in terms of market share loss or otherwise the business loss or the customer dissatisfaction. That anyway will be there. But at the same time, we can go just fast. I mean, as a regulated entity, and with this burden of the trust and customer centricity being embedded in what we do, we have to go in a calibrated way. But that's the reason we conduct a lot of pilots within the bank. For example, in case of AI, initially we targeted it's a more of a productivity improvement for our employees. Started with knowledge bots, then we introduced AI in terms of our check processing, where up to certain thresholds, entire decisioning is actually delegated to AI, but only a section. In fact, somebody in the earlier session was saying where the role of the human comes. In case of rejections, we want to be doubly sure, even when AI may be 99% accurate, we want to be doubly sure that actually it is the right rejection, because it has an impact on the customer side when we reject a otherwise okay kind of check. So that way, we will be working with a good governance in terms of where, in fact, we perhaps in the industry, we are the early adopters of AI governance policy and AI emerging based technology policy as well, which very clearly puts the guardrails, very clearly lays out the process of approving these experiments or the pilots and creating a sandbox kind of environment, giving them the autonomy, but at the same time within a certain range. Only when we are doubly sure, then we scale it up and bring it to the production.
Overall, would you say, is artificial intelligence and the use of it in banking making banking safer or more fragile? I mean, because, while you're adopting and growing and, enhancing your customer experience, the phishing attacks are getting more sophisticated and easier by the day for these guys. So, would you say AI overall is making banking more fragile or more safe?
I think, as a few days back, the discussion was more around Claude, right? I mean,
yes, finishing one industry by after another with every update that they're coming out with.
In fact, what people started saying is you need to use AI to counter AI, right? I mean, that is the kind of argument. So I think we don't have any choice. AI you need to use for safety. I mean, in terms of cyber resilience, etc. But at the same time, you can use it for augmenting the productivity and more in terms of enhancing the customer convenience, etc. It's to be used with the proper rails, guardrails, and ensuring that whatever we do is in the boundaries.
All right, sir. To end with, a 200-year-old institution with 520 million customers. What to your mind is the big reason where customers would choose you, the Gen Z choose you today, over a fintech app, over a fancy new bank that's come up, over a private peer? What keeps your moat safe as we go more and more digital?
I think, again, it's not like they've opened the account just because they were told by the parents. And Gen Z. So they do their own research. So I think it is the convenience and the ease of accessing the apps, etc. Obviously, these matter. The very large percentage does indicate these apps are very, very contemporary, very accessible, and all the modern features are there.
Yeah.
And that's the reason.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rao. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
And I hope the audience had a lot to take away as well. Thank you, sir.
May I please request both of you to stay back on the stage? Ritu, requesting you to present Mr. Rao with the certificate, Grow Billion Trees Initiative.
Forbes India and CNBC-TV18 present Exotel, EngageX.